Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you to this daily Hindu analysis video. These videos, they come in the morning, and in the evening the PIB videos come, and the PDF you will get on the Telegram channel of the StudyIQ and on my Facebook group, Amit Sani group for IAS preparation. So today is 13th of February and it's Wednesday, so some important articles. Now about the motivation. Your mind is a powerful thing. When you fill it with positive thoughts, your life will start to change. Nothing better can be said here. Our mind is the most important tool that makes us stand apart from all other species, and we are controlling nature a lot these days. This is all possible because we have mind. We have this enormous capability, and you see the person who is sleeping for whole day and the person who became a scientist like Einstein, they both have this mind, but it is about the use and about the positivity which is there inside the person's mind. If the person is always thinking about the problems and how he got thrashed by these unfortunate situations and these negativities in his life, that person is totally distressed, and that person is losing this opportunity to use this enormously great tool, that is mind. And the person who is using this machine positively, then that person is ruling in this world. So this is mind only that controls your moods, that controls your efficiency, performance, how you feel, how do you deliver. These all things are based on your mind's performance, and that's why meditation is a very important exercise that is relatable with your brain. So take care of it and be positive there always. And these are the numbers there. You can call and you can ask for the pen drive courses by StudyIQ. StudyIQ's dedication is unparalleled till date, and you know the way it is growing because of this focus, this particular appropriateness for the examination. These courses are going to be very, very important. Now, what to read today? Many students asked me to suggest that what are the articles to be read today. So I'm telling you here, this article is important for the GS paper 2, and for 3 also you may say this, and for 4 GS paper 4 also there can be case studies, and it is making an important topic of essay also. Okay, so 2, 4, 3 less possibility, but 2, 4 and essay, this is okay. This is also making a very important social issue, so important for GS paper 1 and 2, and there can be case studies of in GS paper 4, and a very important topic for essay, as I have given you a mains question based on this topic today. This we have discussed a lot regarding the Iranian Revolution. We had discussed a huge article for that, and this is extremely important. It is talking about the biodiversity management and the aspect of commons or the community aspect inside this. So where some concerns are there, this is not important for us from the exam point of view. All the topic is very crucial, that is based on diets and cholesterols and the health. So you should read this interview. She is a important scientist and geneticist, and she is talking about some therapy and some particular way we should adopt in our life and about our dieting habits. Okay, and this is we have discussed. Now the words that I found in today's newspaper, you can use them in sentences. And next, the articles, the editorial today, the shape of the job crisis. We have seen many articles, and they all were talking about the job crisis and the situation of data suppression and what is the consequence of that and what kind of future we can expect in this particular situation. So they were talking about this. Now in this article, writer is giving his own assessment based on some reports and some data which were released by government till 2011 and 12, mainly the NSSO data which used to be there till 2012, and after that many other labor bureau annual surveys were there. So based on these data, he is putting some facts here, he is putting some numbers regarding the education enrollment and employment scenario and the labor force participation. So this article is going to talk about the facts, so that's why it becomes very important, and the conclusions would be very solid with this, because if they are only talking about the opinions, then certainly there can be contradictions, but with the facts there are less possibilities of denial. Now see, he is taking data from Labor Bureau Annual Survey and CMIE, the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. in the Hindu paper, there has been a lot of mentions of this particular CMIE data. So these both data, these surveys, they cover rural and urban data, so they are important. And regarding the CMIE, it covers larger data, a larger sample if we compare it with the NSSO data, and the methodology is also similar and somewhat better with the CMIE data, that is CPHS, that is it has done. Okay, so these two data the writer is taking, and he's saying that the job creation has been slow since 2011-12, the year of last published NSSO data. After that, we did not have any kind of NSSO data regarding the jobs and employment. So that's unfortunate. But here he is giving these data, and he is saying that government is proposing EPFO's registrations data and the Mudra loans beneficiaries data. So these two data are not reliable, and these cannot be said as good data on the jobs. And when there is absence of good data on jobs, then it's simply untenable. We cannot accept this scenario, because we are the young nation, and we always say this thing that demographic dividend is the superpower in our hands. But can we use it? Are we able to use it? And it is not for a permanent phase. Some scholars are saying that it is only 2030. Some are saying for till 2040 this phase would remain, and after that these whole populations, these all groups would become old, and it would not be any kind of demographic dividend. And if we do not seize this opportunity now, this demographic dividend can turn into demographic disaster or demographic drag. So that is going to be a very unfortunate condition if we do not focus on this issue today. If this issue of skilling and job creation, our economy is growing very fast. We are the fastest growing economy in the world. We have become the 6th largest economy, surpassing France. But it is the jobless growth that we are experiencing, and whole world is taking concern for this situation. Where you see, if we talk about the numbers, open employment rate, the people who are aspiring for the jobs and who are looking for the jobs actively, only their data. It does not measure that disguised unemployment and informal poor quality jobs. Disguised means, suppose in a farm 10 people are working, only 2 are required, 8 are additionally working. So these 8 are having a disguised unemployment. This is not visible. From surface they look employed, but they are actually unemployed. Okay, so this disguised unemployment, that is a major crisis in the country like India, where maximum population is employed in the agricultural sector. That is nowhere beneficial and nowhere profitable. So disguised unemployment data, it is not covering. It is only talking about the active unemployment, open unemployment rate. This has never gone up from 2.6% since 1978 till 2012. Okay, these 40 years it did not go up, around 35 years. But in 2017 and 18, according to the data, it has jumped now to 6.1%. So for 35 years it remained till 2.5%, and now around 6%, more than 6%, 6.1%, they are saying the open employment rate is. And that is not covering the main unemployment issue, that is the disguised unemployment issue of India and the poor quality jobs issue of India. That means situation is very grim, and it's a real crisis, because if only open unemployment rate is 6.1%, suppose the whole jobless scenario, what kind of it would be. Now next 10 to 12 years, more young people have become educated. That is the thing. You see, in 2006, 11% was the tertiary education enrollment rate, and it became 26%, means 15% rise in 10 years. That's huge. And it is tertiary education, graduation, post graduation, and the people who are educated till 10th class. So the gross secondary enrollment rate, that has gone up from 58% to 90% in 6 years. That's a enormous increase. And these all people are going to aspire for the jobs, because they are being educated how they can work in fields and how they can get jobs like peons jobs and 4th class jobs. So they all would aspire for nice jobs and nice salaries, but that thing is not possible. So it is creating distress. Now if they have the financial wherewithal to obtain education up to such levels, they can also afford to remain unemployed. As I told you, why they are going to apply for the peon's job if the financial crisis is not high in their families? So they would not apply actively for these jobs which are only available right now. So this is based on a particular survey where the PhD scholars and the MBAs and engineers, they are applying for these minion jobs which are really of poor quality, and the salaries are only 8, 10, 15, 20,000 rupees. So why many of them are going to apply for them if they are financially well off? So these people are unemployed. Even being educated, they are unemployed and they will not look for any job. So they are not actively job seekers. So they will not participate in the labor participation force. Okay. So because of these numbers who are going to stay at homes and they are not looking for jobs, because of them also unemployment numbers are going down according to the government. But government is saying that we have created jobs here, that's why the unemployment numbers are going down. But the actual situation is like this, that many people, they are not looking for the job, they are hopeless, maybe they are depressed, and that's why they are staying at homes, they are not looking for the jobs. Okay, so now see, the situation is like that, the educated youth, they are rising in numbers, but you see the crisis here, the participation rates in labor force fell sharply from 43% in 2004 to 39.5% in 2012, and it has become 36.9% only in 2018, means within 14 years of time, from 43 to 36%. It is a decline. It should have been a reverse trend. It should have been an increase, because the more educated youth are about to seek jobs here. But it is giving this evidence that these people are living a life of distress and despair, and they are depressed actually. And a particular type of depression is about to come in the economy, because huge numbers of these educated youths, they are not looking for the jobs now. Participation rates, they have fallen from 43% in 2004 to 36.9% in 2018, where these numbers have gone up. Gross enrollment ratio from 58 to 90%, 11% to 26%, means so many people, they are not looking for the jobs. It is not like that they are totally financially well off and they are rich people, they are poor people, but they have lost hopes. So that's a very concerning and very worrisome trend. Meanwhile, government economists, they are repeatedly telling us that there is no job crisis. That's a slap on these people's faces. They are saying there is no job crisis, and even our Prime Minister said that we have created lakhs of jobs, and he quoted the EPFO's data, which economists say that it is nowhere reliable, because it does not guarantee any jobs. It is only the registration. Once he get the job, he gets registration, but after that what happens, nobody knows. So it is only registration. But according to the EPFO data and the Mudra loans beneficiary data, according to them, and it's really very bizarre. You see, if somebody is taking loans, how can it guarantee him any kind of job? What is the guarantee? Maybe the business is gonna fail, and most of the time it happens that they are not earning nicely. You see the issue of startups which were started in India. Startups are mostly closed now, so still they are quoting the Mudra loans data. So according to them, there is no job crisis. The first thing is to address this crisis, but they are not able to address it. And they are saying, if we look some more data here, unemployment rate rose over 11, 12 to 16 from 0.6% to 2.4%, and that is the writer's estimate, 0.6 to 2.4, and it is for the people who get education up to class 8th. Who get education class up to 10th, then the numbers are 1.3 to 3.2% in 4 years. And for the 12th class passed, the numbers have rose to 2% to 4.4%. So it is more than the double. And the people who are graduates and postgraduates, their numbers are more than 8.4 and 8.5% now. It's a real crisis. When the country like USA, they are always scared when their employment percentages, they are going more than 3, 4, 5%. And here They are not recognizing this job crisis. They are saying that there is no job crisis, and they are not releasing the data. You see the joke here, they are not releasing the official data, and they are saying there is no job crisis, and the people, they are shouting that there is job crisis. Economists, scholars, they all are saying that there is a real job crisis. So you yourself are giving this evidence that there is a crisis because you are not releasing the data. What is the issue? And for the vocationally trained people who are the biggest job seekers, their unemployment rate is 7.9%, from 4.9 to 7.9% within last 4 years. So you can see the condition here. Is it a crisis or not? And you see a structural retrogression we would see here. You see, first time in the economic history, from 2004 to 2012, a shift happened when 2 crore youth within the age group of 15 to 29, they went out of the agricultural sector. They did not look for the job in the farming sector, and that was a positive sign, because they were losing their lives. They were actually losing all the opportunities of life working in the fields, because there was no opportunity, there was no upgradation, and there was no profit making in the fields. And still, you see, the number was 86.8 million people who were working on the fields between this age group. And this number came to 60.9 million, means only 6 crore people were working in the fields in 2012. But it was hailed as a positive sign, because from the economic point of view, this thing was a good thing, and it happened for the first time in the economic history. So the workers in the agriculture fell sharply, because we don't need that much number of agricultural workers. But you see what happened after 2012. In 2016, the number from 60 million went again up to 84.8 million people, means again back to square. Whatever achievement you did, and these people were looking for the non-farm jobs, they are again moved towards farming sector. And these numbers are with more educated youth now. These youths are much more skilled, and maybe they are engineers, maybe they are postgraduates, maybe they are MA, BA students, and now they are joining the farming sector. And that's much more distressing and the depressing issue. So they are forced to be in agriculture. They are not by choice here, they are by force. So if we look at the manufacturing jobs now, that was the agricultural scenario. Now the manufacturing jobs issue, which is the major employment giver after agricultural sector, where you can expect something for your life. You see, in 2011-12, 58.9 million people were there in the manufacturing jobs, and now 48.3, a sharp 10 million decline. 1 crore people are out of the jobs in manufacturing sector, and here we are hailing Make in India like schemes, and we are actually targeting the manufacturing sector growth that we skipped actually within our economic phase. We were an agricultural nation, agriculture producing country, and from there straight we came to service sector economy, and the major share in the GDP was from the service sector, even up to 35 to 40%. So we skipped this manufacturing a phase where any country moves from agricultural surplus towards manufacturing sector, and then they come towards service sector. But we skipped this particular phase, and now we made claims in the last 4 years that we are improving manufacturing sector. But here, this is the reality. 1 crore people who were having their jobs in the manufacturing sector, they have lost their jobs in the manufacturing jobs. And the IIP index, which had sharply risen from a base number of 100 to 172 in the years of 2004 to 2013-14. So at this time, IIP index, that was rising very fast, and that gives the data regarding manufacturing, mining and electricity area. But now this IIP index released by CSO, okay, this industrial induction index of industrial production, this report, this index is rising only till 125 from 100, and for these 5 years, from 13 to 18 year, only 125, from 100 to 125, and it was from 100 to 172 till 2013. So this is the reality of manufacturing sector. And you see the most important thing, that is investment to GDP ratio. That is the biggest necessity for improving the manufacturing sector and the industrial sector. You need investment, and here our investment to GDP ratio, that is falling sharply since 2013. So what kind of achievement we are showing on the datas? These are the realities. Now the writer is quoting a particular term, that is NEET, neither in education, employment or training. The students or the youth, educated youth who are not in education, not in employment and not in training, that means they are living a life of depression. They are not getting education, they are not being employed, and they are not getting any kind of training instead. So what about them? And their number were 2 million per annum. They were being added 2 million per annum in the economy, but now they are being added 5 million per annum, and it is a very distressing number. 5 million per annum people, and these are NEET, not in education, employment or training people. Means it is totally a distressing situation. And what they are doing, they are passing the time now, and who is taking advantage of them? This is not converting into demographic dividend. This is a disaster. And the political class, they are using these people on WhatsApp, social media and all to pass on their messages, pass on their political motives, political agendas. These people are being used heavily, and they have become the potential lumpen fodder for politics. Now see, will the new government, if it is going to come, or maybe the same government would continue, then are they going to recognize this as a crisis? Because the present government says there is no job crisis. So educated entrants into the labor force will go on increasing till 2030, and we don't have much time. It is only 2040, or maybe less than that, or maybe 2030 we would have this opportunity of demographic dividend. You see China's example. I have always said about China that China knew about this situation, and he knew that there is going to be an opportunity for a limited period of 10 to 20 years, and within this time China brought all its youth from villages to cities, and China provided them with shelter, food and some basic amenities, and anyhow it made it sure that all these people are totally focused on skilling, because he knew that if these people are skilled, I am going to rule this world after 20 years. And the same thing is happening. What is this Belt and Road Initiative? All things are produced in China because the manufacturing sector is the most robust one in China, and it is all because they had this industrial policy, and they have a integrated employment policy for that. And because of this, they skilled all these people and they gave them right education and job opportunities. But unfortunately, India has neither an industrial policy nor an employment strategy that is effective. So these two are always being aligned, but we don't have any of them. And we are claiming on every stage that we have demographic dividend opportunity. But this is only opportunity. This is not an advantage. We need to take this opportunity and as used, and we need to convert it into advantage. But it is still an opportunity, and we are losing time. For last 4-5 years we have done very less in this direction, and with this speed we are not going to convert it into a demographic dividend. It can be a demographic disaster, and if we will keep using these NEETs as political fodder, then certainly our future is very, in a way, negative, very bleak and gloomy. And the youth of India, their energies, they can turn negative, and anyone can take advantage of this negative energy. So a scary future haunts us, and if we do not do something in the next 5 years, then certainly this situation would be out of our hands. So this is a negative assessment, but it's a realistic assessment because these are the data that are showing the reality. Next, a case for common sense. It is regarding the CBD convention, which was established after the 1992 Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. It happened, and after that UNFCCC and CBD and this UNCCD, okay, all these were started This was regarding climate change, this was regarding biodiversity, and this convention was regarding desertification. So they were started after 1992, and the major issue of sovereign rights over the biodiversity, those were given to countries. And even India launched its National Biodiversity Act and Biodiversity Authorities in 2002 on the national level and state level both, and on the local level also. So we made nice plans here, we made nice climate change action plans also. But you see, the main issue with this particular sovereignty and the right system under this CBD, which was the aim of CBD, that this situation should improve, that exploitation should stop, and if you stop this exploitation, then only the situation can be reversed, because we are exploiting the nature with a very fast speed. You see, according to a report, we have lost 60% of our resources as biodiversity, and mass extinction phase is going on for both plants and animals. And you see, for this particular reversal only, that this situation should change, we had established a convention on biodiversity, and the rights were given to these states. But exploitation is going on, and the situation is worse in a sense, because first, the countries like India, where the tradition is totally based on nature, and they were taking care of the nature, taking as a common responsibility and as a community contribution. They were taking care of the nature, they were taking care of the rivers, they were taking care of the these trees and all, and it was the part of their religion, their life, their particular traditional way. But now that thing is also dissolved, that common contribution, that common taking care and common ownership, that is also lost after this CBD. So whatever you expected from these sovereign bodies, that was not achieved, and very fast, with a very fast pace, we are moving towards disasters, and even that opportunity is lost, where some taking care was happening by these communities and the common ownerships. And India is a typical example. You see, it is the principle of commons that was working. And you see, if we go by the logic, in our ancient systems, we attached the tags of Devi Devtas with all these trees and animals, and these were the sawaris of these Devtas. So what were these? These were very nice scientific logics, that anyhow we conserve nature, and anyhow we don't destroy them. We don't destroy these biodiversity animals, we don't destroy these plants, because these are essential for our lives. And it was their understanding of thousands of years. But we are so foolish a nation that we took everything as a blind faith, and these superstitions, they rocked this nation, and all people started exploiting these rivers. We polluted our rivers heavily in the name of religion. We were calling Ganga as Mata, but Ganga is the most polluted river in this country. Yamuna is the most polluted river in this country. These were our Matas, but we released all kinds of dirt in these Matas. So what is our responsibility, what is our mood, and what we are thinking of ourselves, and what our authorities, what our governments, what these sovereign bodies, what they are controlling? If we see the condition of rivers in our country and the air pollution in our country, then we are not being able to do anything. And the most polluted cities are there in India, and certainly they are affecting the biodiversity also. And it is all the issue of environmental degradation, and we cannot survive without this environment, that is for sure. And we are losing trillions of rupees every year. It is not like that only environmental degradation is happening. The economic loss is also very, very huge, but we are not taking care of this thing. And you see, common lands, if we talk about common lands, then they constitute about 15 to 25%. That means at least 1/4 of the land is commonly held, where no rights of any specific body or person is there. So there are 53% of India's milk production is dependent on this 1/4 of the common land, and 77% of India's livestock, they are feeding themselves there in these grazing areas, and these are free lands. So we are dependent on the common lands instead of protected lands or the state controlled lands. They are giving us life. 74% of its India's meat requirements, they are fulfilled by this particular common land. So actually that is working for us. The common ownership, community ownership is working for us, and the way we were moving ahead without these bodies and without these rules, that was far way better. And now they are not taking care about these responsibilities, and now everything is shifted on the government and the state, and that state is exploiting itself, and that is a trouble. And as I told you, 3.75 trillion rupees loss is counted by World Bank for India because of this environmental degradation. So we need to take care about this issue, and we need to rethink about the CBD's aims also. In the United Nations, we should talk about these issues, and the focus should be on a particular debate where this principle of commons and the community ownership, that should be improved, that should not be dissolved, that should not go away. Otherwise, officially we are not able to take care of the nature, and we are exploiting it to the hell. And the way we see the conditions of rivers and air pollution and the species all around us, we are sure that we are losing them all. And even these rules and regulations would be there, these bodies would be there, but the real issue of taking care by these common people and community, that is the real caretaker of it, and that would be lost. Next issue is very, very unfortunate, related to poverty, related to less education, related to less awareness, and related to our negative traditions, patriarchy, and some egoistic behaviors, psychological issues, and related to total mismanagement, corruption, and governance issues. All these are factors in the unfortunate deaths of these people because of the toxic alcohol, and a huge tragedy that followed. You see, 100 people, more than 100 people died because of consumption of this toxic alcohol. You see, ethyl alcohol is the component which is the major constituent of this normal alcohol consumption. When it is not created and methyl alcohol instead of ethyl alcohol is made, then it becomes toxic. Methyl alcohol is very toxic to the humans, and they instantly are going to die if they consume methyl alcohol. So because of less knowledge of this brewing and unhygienic conditions, methyl alcohol is produced, and these people are losing their lives. Many incidents happen in India. You see, in 2015 also the Malwani horse tragedy happened in Mumbai, and it is all flouting of rules, administration, and these policemen and all. Most of the times they know about these consumptions and these productions that they are going on, but they don't do much because of the corruption issues. And if they don't know about it, still it's a major concern when many people on a daily basis they are consuming alcohol, and that is locally produced. Then certainly it is the issue of governance. They are failed here, and they are talking about the excise duties and all. You see, it is not the responsibility of the state always. You see, excise duty and all these taxes and all these are earned by the government, that's okay, but this is a demerit good, and we cannot appreciate its consumption by making it a cheap production by the state. So state cannot appreciate it. So that's why these people are producing this alcohol locally, because it is going to be a cheap one. That is the main reason that they are risking their lives. But they are so addicted, and in India this problem is so huge. It is no more a alcohol consumption, it is taking their lives. It is about a psychological tragedy, that is a mass tragedy for these poor people. They are totally distressed in their lives, and they have only avenue, that is alcohol consumption every evening. And that's why this is happening. They cannot afford every day these expensive alcohols. So that's why they move towards these locally produced cheap alcohols, and this huge is actually taking their lives many times, and hundreds of them, they are dying. But it's a collective concern. It is not only the responsibility of government, it is the responsibility of the civil society, the local panchayats and all, because mainly these are happening in the village areas, and the people who know about them, the locals, the women's and all, they should report about these issues, and the state should act ethyl alcohol is the component which is the major constituent of this normal alcohol consumption. When it is not created and methyl alcohol instead of ethyl alcohol is made, then it becomes toxic. Methyl alcohol is very toxic to the humans, and they instantly are going to die if they consume methyl alcohol. So because of less knowledge of this brewing and unhygienic conditions, methyl alcohol is produced, and these people are losing their lives. Many incidents happen in India. You see in 2015 also the Malwani horse tragedy happened in Mumbai, and it is all flouting of rules, administration, and these policemen and all. Most of the times they know about these consumptions and these productions that they are going on, but they don't do much because of the corruption issues. And if they don't know about it, still it's a major concern when many people on a daily basis they are consuming alcohol, and that is locally produced. Then certainly it is the issue of governance. They are failed here, and they are talking about the excise duties and all. You see, it is not the responsibility of the state always. You see, excise duty and all these taxes and all, these are earned by the government, that's okay, but this is a demerit good, and we cannot appreciate its consumption by making it a cheap production by the state. So state cannot appreciate it. So that's why these people are producing these this alcohol locally, because it is going to be a cheap one. That is the main reason that they are risking their lives, but they are so addicted. And in India this problem is so huge. It is no more a alcohol consumption, it is taking their lives. It is about a psychological tragedy. That is a mass tragedy for these poor people. They are totally distressed in their lives, and they have only avenue, that is alcohol consumption every evening. And that's why this is happening. They cannot afford every day these expensive alcohols. So that's why they move towards these locally produced cheap alcohols. And this huge is actually taking their lives many times, and hundreds of them, they are dying. But it's a collective concern. It is not only the responsibility of government, it is the responsibility of the civil society, the locals who are there, women, kids, whoever, they can report about it to the state, and it is the must for the state to act on this issue. So that's why the bigger responsibility is there with the state, and additional responsibilities are there on these groups. Then only we can counter these things. And you see, it is a issue of counseling also in the rural areas, because they are risking their lives. And what is the meaning of putting their life at risk? Consuming poison. So they should be caring about their families, and already the distress, agricultural distress is a major factor here, and the loans and their depressing lifestyles and all. So these all things should be solved. So it is not a simple concern, it's a very complex issue. It's not an issue of alcohol consumption, it's the issue of all these factors: agricultural stress, distressing lives, and all these education awareness and all these issues. So I'm giving you a question of mains today, and you have to write about all the aspects. You should apply your own mind, your own local observation, and the solutions that you can think about it, you can tell here. And the issues of taxes and all that you should also discuss. Okay, next, it's awareness information. In my vicinity this happened. 17 people were killed, and it happened in the central Delhi, where because of the suffocation, you see, in the fire incidents, people don't die because of the fire and burning, they die because of suffocation. Because in the big cities these buildings are closed, and there are no vents and no windows and all. So that is why these issues, they become a huge concern. And next are the facts. You see, India has ordered these rifles, okay, and the company is Sixor from USA, where we have signed to procure these important rifles. These are assault rifles, and 72,400 rifles. 66,000 are going to be for the army, and 2,000 for navy, and 4,000 for air forces. For long they have been demanding that at least basic rifles should be given to us, but we were not able to give them. So that's unfortunate, but now it's a positive sign. We have signed a contract and within 1 year we will be procuring all these rifles. And apart from that, under this SP model, strategic partnership model, that is in very much a highlight. You see, where a private firm can be there, maybe Reliance, you can take this example in India. Private firm would be there in India and it would be tying up not with a particular original equipment manufacturer in some other country, and through this they are going to procure these defense equipments or any weaponry or planes and all. So under this SP model, first order is regarding the 111 naval utility helicopters, and these helicopters are going to replace the aging Chetak fleet. Okay, so this is going to be the first order under this SP model, and the Rafale issue and all these are the same model. Next, Rajasthan has scrapped education criterion. In 2015 they brought a particular rule that at least class 10th one should pass for contesting Zilla Parishad, Panchayat Samiti and municipal elections, and at least for election of Sarpanch and a Panchayat in scheduled and non-scheduled areas, it was mandated to pass class 5 and class 8. In the scheduled areas, class 5 only, and class 8 for non-scheduled areas. So these were the conditions put on the election. But you see, that's a progressive measure and that should happen. But unfortunately, India's condition is like this, that out of this particular application, most of the women and most of the SC/ST community people, they were excluded from the election process, and that is totally unconstitutional. There were many honest people, and there were many sincere people and sincere women. So all these categories, they were carrying many sincere people, but they were excluded because they did not have much education. So that was unfortunate. And the bigger concern in the constitution is the inclusion factor, and especially for these weaker sections, their inclusion is a must, and these were excluded because of this norm. And you see, the bizarre thing is that for the Lok Sabha election and for the Vidhan Sabha election, these tough conditions are not there. You don't need to be that much educated. So that's a bizarre thing. And still the state government of Rajasthan, they brought this rule, and now the government is reversing this rule and they are removing this educational criteria, and they are saying that this exclusion is totally unconstitutional. So for today, it's a welcome move because inclusion is much more important, but it's also a condition that these educational criteria should be there at least with the Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha election candidates, and they should be raised to the meritorious levels so that only good people are there in the politics. Otherwise, most of these are criminals and the alleged people. Next, Punjab Science Memorandum of Understanding for biofuel projects. You see the stubble burning issue after the Kharif crops and their harvesting, some stubble that remains after the cutting, and that is burned by these farmers because they don't have any alternative, any cheap alternative. Now there is going to be a nice solution here. They are signing MOU with the American company that is working as a Workbook corporation in India. So it is going to be a 630 crore biofuel project out of this stubble, because it is an organic matter, so they can create biofuel out of it. So nothing can be better than that. If that thing becomes possible, then that's a great thing. And I'm giving you a question here. One more institution is there. That's a government institution in Kapurthala, Punjab, where Renewable Energy Institute is there. Give me the name of that institution. I'm going to ask you and put that in the comment section. Okay. So these are very important and progressive measures that we should take today. And we have a dire need of these steps. These are MCQs. Try their answers in the comment section, and the PDF you will get on my Facebook group and on the Telegram channel of StudyIQ, and this is the mains question. Try that. Thanks a lot. And before that, this map question I'm also giving today. In the Africa's continent, find out all these things, and I'm giving you these things. I don't explain these things because I want to make it sure that you people go to Atlas and you will find additionally 5 to 10 things around it. You go for the longitudes and latitudes like equator or tropic of Cancer or Capricorn it is, and what is the location. It is the tropical area or a subtropical area, or it's a temperate area. You should check that. You should check these straits and water bodies. What is the Gulf or any kind of ocean which is there, sea which is nearby, or it's and it's near to which Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, or what kind of ocean, and where the boundaries are being hitting. So these are the things. Thanks a lot. Keep watching, and it was a big